Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the Glide tutorial. Last time I said that we were done with the code. That's not quite through yet. We have to do two more things. And the first thing I'd like to do is just add some kind of arrow around our player so we can know where the next ring is. In case you get lost in the map, in case you get a little bit just out of focus, you need to know where the actual objective is, so the current objective is. So we're adding a small arrow that points towards that objective. We're gonna have to find the direction in 3D, that's simple, and then we're gonna have to cast it on a 2D object to actually make that look good. So that's the first thing we need to do. The second thing we need to do is to actually encrypt our data. Like I said during the save tutorial, the way we're saving right now is not safe enough for us. We'd like to actually just push it a little bit further by encrypting our data, since we're saving to the local machine. But that's gonna be for tomorrow's episode. Today we're gonna head over to the game scene. And let's find our canvas actually. Right click on it, add a new UI and image. I will be renaming that image for arrow, and I'll also create another one. So create image, that's going to be the arrow background. Now the reason I'm using two images is so I can actually create some kind of pivot point. So let me quickly take the background, reset everything to 0, so make sure everything is set to like clean. And then I'll take my arrow, put it as a children of the arrow background. On the background, I'll remove the image component, and we just have a canvas render on this image, and it has a transform. Now what I'll do is I'll take this arrow, maybe go down to say -100, and it really depends. We're gonna have to see exactly how it looks in the game, but right now let's see if that's something like that. So you've got your pivot point, which is gonna be the arrow background over here. And let's actually try to center that on the player, and whenever we're actually rotating the arrow, we are going to be moving like this around the player. So let's take a wild guess right now. Take our arrow background, put it at say -200 or -150, and let's leave our arrow like that. Right now I do not have any actual image for the arrow, so I'll use the default one by Unity. I'll go over here under sprite, click on drop down arrow, and I'll actually just use this one for now. I know it's a bit cheap, but until I make some more asset, I'll be using this one. If you're actually playing this game, or actually if you're starting the tutorial after a certain date, you might have this in your artwork folder, so just double check on that if you can actually put some better graphics. Okay, so we have this arrow background right now. Let's head over to the game scene, and inside of the game scene we are going to start calculating that direction. So we'll need a few things. The first one is going to be a public image arrow. Now if you actually can't get image, make sure you include unityengine.ui, and then we'll do a private transform. We're going to be using the player transform, just like this. And what else do we need? We need a public objective that I'll just call objective. And now this one is really confusing, and I'll explain to you what we're going to be doing with that right now actually. So the next thing I'd like you to do is head over to your objective script. So let's go under objective, and under here, under the start function, what we'll be doing is we'll do a find object of type game scene, and then find the public property that we just made. So the objective, like this, is equal to this. And basically all we do here is set the objective field in the game scene. Now you might be wondering why I'm not doing this the other way around. So why is the game scene not getting its own reference of the objective? And if we just step back in the game scene for a moment, you're gonna see that we do a private void start, and here we pretty much just assign all our field. We do find object of type here, that works fine. Now we can't do objective is equal to find object of type objective, simply because it does not exist yet. As part of the game scene, we do not have an objective yet. The objective comes from the scene manager load scene, and then we load whatever scene it is. However, this function takes 2 frames to execute, so during the start, you're not going to get the objective just yet. You have to wait another frame to have the scene loaded up, and then at that point, well, our start is already gone here. So what we could do is just create some kind of function here that would only happen during the second frame, but the way I actually decided to do it is simply whenever the objective is ready, it's gonna set itself in the game scene. So that's what we have here. Now the reason I want to have the objective as a reference in the game scene is so I can actually know where is my current objective. So where is my current ring? The one I need to go through right now. And now what I could do is turn this into a public field, turn this list into a public field as well, and just access it using ring pass, but that'll be a little bit too annoying to do, and I don't really want to have these field here public. So what I'll do instead is just create a public transform get current ring, and then in here we'll simply do a return. We return rings at ring pass dot transform, because we want a transform out of this. Actually, this is already a list of transforms, so you don't need to do that. Okay, so the only reason I have the objective script is simply so I can call this function. So let's head back inside of the game. Now at this point we should have an objective, right? Well, it's not sure just yet because the update might run during the first frame, so let's just do a security check right here. If objective is not equal to null, so if we do have a objective, let's run this code. So if we have an objective, and now this is where we actually rotate the arrow, so rotate the arrow. How do we go about doing this? We start by doing a vector3 direction is equal to player transform inverse transform point. Now really important, you use the inverse transform point and not the inverse transform direction, because that's not going to work. And then the position you want to be looking at is the get current ring dot position, and this is where our objective comes in handy. Now just after that we'll need the angle, so float a is equal to matf a tan 2 dir.x dir.z times matf rad 2 degree. Okay, now this code took a little bit of googling on my part, but I'm just sharing with you the final result I've got here. Also had to increase it by 180 degrees. And finally, arrow to transform local Euler angle is equal to a new vector3, 0, 0, and a. And actually this is going to take a little bit of change here, because the arrow I'm using is the one default in Unity, so it's the drop down arrow. It's actually pointing downwards, so I'll need to flip that by putting a 180 over here. And just like this, we end up having our whole mechanic. Let's head over to the game scene and drag and drop our arrow background. We're going to be using the arrow background actually, and not the other one around, which means that I've made a mistake right here, because for the arrow background it needs an image, but we don't really want to be using the image. We can just be using the rect transform, or even better than that, just a transform itself. So let's actually try this out. I've just swapped my image to a transform, and we're going to be drag and dropping the arrow background. Let's see if that works. Let me go back in the preloader. I've got the game playing on my remote as well, and let's see if that works. So right now it's pointing downward. We have a no reference exception, so let's go see why. So player transform, okay, so player transform isn't set, which does make a little bit of sense. I forgot to set it in the start. So in the start here, let's find the player transform by doing a player transform is equal to find object of type, and the only object that has the player motor class on it is the player, so we can use this to find him. So find object of type player motor transform. Let's try this once more, and here I am on my remote. Again, I'll be moving with this, and as you can tell, it does work just fine. And the way we gauged it doesn't look too bad. The arrow is around our player. We might want to increase the distance in between the arrow and the player itself, but as you can tell, it does point in the right direction. We just crossed this one, so it's pointing backward now. And here we go. So now we have a clear indicator of where to go to proceed and win. And let me try to actually get this one. Okay, nice, amazing. So I've done it. Yeah, like I said, we might want to increase the distance in between these two. So I'll go back into my canvas, arrow background. Let's put like a 150 on this. And eventually, once we have like better assets, we can change that to a very cool looking image. But yeah, that was a really short episode, guys, but thank you so much for watching. It was a much needed feature because I kept getting lost in my map since I don't have any content just yet. But now there's no way for me to get lost with this. So again, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed or if you learned something. And yeah, click on the video to go see the encryption tutorial, which we are going to be doing tomorrow. So guys, cheers.